What's up YouTube, and welcome to another draw along with me. Today's design is this Memoji style reindeer, and the canvas size for today is 2000 by 2000, and there's a link down below to the palette so you can follow along with the exact same colours that I'm using. If you're new here, I post Procreate content every single week, so hit that subscribe button down below. And if you can't get enough Joel Create tutorials, there's a link down below to my Patreon where I'll throw up the 3 latest tutorials on the screen now. And if you want to show your support, there's a link down below to that. And if you're interested in any of the equipment I'm using, the Sketchboard Pro or the Paperlike screen cover and many more, there's links down below to everything that I use in my equipment list. And with all that said, let's get started. So once you've created your canvas, the first thing we're going to do is go up to our colours. We're going to select this colour here that's on the left hand side on its own, so the second column, second colour. We're going to go to our brush library, we're going to go to calligraphy, and we're going to go to the monoline brush. And all we're going to do is just draw a circle in the middle of the screen, hold your pen at the end to get a perfect ellipse, and pop your finger on the screen to get a perfect circle. And you want to go for something roughly around about that sort of size. Drag and drop your colour in like so. Then we're going to go to our cursor, we're going to make sure snapping is turned on, and we're going to position that nicely down the centre like so, and then tap on your cursor when you're done. Then we're going to go up to our actions. We're going to go to canvas and we're going to turn on the drawing guide, and then we're going to edit the drawing guide. And for the drawing guide, we're going to go to symmetry, and we're going to make sure under options we're under the vertical option. Then we're going to hit done. And if we go back to our layer, it should now say assisted on it. Just tap on it and then go to drawing assist if it doesn't. We're then going to go to our adjustments. We're going to go to Liquify, and I've got my settings down to push, and you can see the size, pressure, distortion and momentum. And all I'm going to do is work out here and just push inwards a little bit towards the top of the head, and just pushing that inwards until we get sort of some nice rounded sort of facial cheeks down here, and just pushing that in like so, just to round off that shape. Now everybody's just going to look slightly different, so don't worry about it too much. I'm just rounding that cheek into there, and then you can bring the head down a tiny bit as well if you want to, just flatten it at the top, and then tap on your adjustments when you're done, and then that will complete the action. So you can see I've got some nice cheekbone areas here, and flatten the head a little bit at the bottom, but we've still got this nice rounded bit at the bottom. We're then going to go ahead now and start drawing in all the different shapes, and then we can start adding the highlights. So let's go to our layers, let's create a new layer. Let's go to our layer and tap on it and use the option of drawing assist. Everything that we do is going to be drawing assisted. And then we're going to drag that layer underneath our head there. And then over on the left hand side, we're going to draw in the ears. And then we're going to start here, and we're just going to draw in a nice rounded teardrop sort of shape, and then drag and drop your colour into that space there. So I've gone for some nice downward ears there. Then we're going to go to our layers. We're going to create another new layer. We're going to tap on that layer and we're going to drawing assist it. We're going to go back to our colours and we're going to grab this light colour here. So fourth column along the top colour. I'm going to reduce my brush size a little bit. I'm about 20% here. And I'm going to draw almost the same sort of shape. So I'm going to follow the sort of the roundedness of the ear there, and then just link up my shape so I can drag and drop my colour in. And then you'll end up with the outer area of the ear as well as the inside. Now if we go to our layers, we go to the face. Let's create a new layer. Let's tap on that layer and drawing assist it. We're going to go to our colours, and we're going to select the slightly darker colour just so we can see the difference. So let's just select this colour here. It's the seventh column along, the only colour in there. And then using the cheekbones as a guide, we're going to draw in the bottom arc of the eye. So we're just going to draw that in and hold your pen down, and then you can adjust that if you want to, making sure the right or the outer side on either side is slightly higher than the inside. And then we're going to go ahead and start on one of the points, go all the way up, and create the top arc for the eye. Hold your pen down when you get to the top or the bottom, and then you want to end up with those sort of tilted in eyes like so, and then drag and drop the colour in like that. Should end up with some nice big eyes there. While we're working on the eyes, let's go ahead and create another new layer above it. We're going to tap on that layer, we're going to drawing assist it, and we're going to tap on that layer and we're going to clipping mask it to the eye socket here that we've just created. We're then going to go to our colours. We're going to double tap at the bottom of our disc to select black, and we're going to draw in an eye in the middle here. Hold your pen down, and we want to end up with some nice big rounded pupils in here. So something a little bit like that looks pretty good. Drag and drop the colour in like so, and then go to your layers. We're going to go to the socket layer again and create another new layer, which will then drop it in between. And then we're going to tap on that layer, we're going to drawing assist it, we're going to go to our colours, I'm going to use this colour here, the fourth column along the middle colour, and we're essentially just going to create a sort of bigger version of this circle we've already created. So you can do it on either side, and you want to make it nice and large, going all the way around. Hold your pen down at the end. Something like that's good, where we've got some little gaps here and there, like in the corner of the eyes. Looks pretty good. And then drag and drop your colour into that space. And this will all come to life once we start adding in the shading and the highlights. And then just while we're working on it, the original eye socket colour, we're going to tap on that layer, we're going to alpha lock it, we're going to go up to our colours, and we're going to select this colour down here at the bottom of the palette, the second to last column, the bottom one, and go back to your layer, tap on it and fill it. Next, let's go ahead and add the nose in. So let's go up to our layers, let's create a new one above the eye. We're going to go to our colours, we're going to select this red here, the fourth column along the bottom colour, and we're going to draw an ellipse in the middle of the screen like this, and pop your finger on the screen to get a nice perfect ellipse if you've done it nice and wide enough, otherwise it will turn into a circle. And you want to make it just slightly wider than the gap in the middle there, and then drag and drop your colour into that space. And we've got our nose. We're then going to go to our layers, we're going to create another new layer. This is going to be the mouth, so we're going to go to our colours. I'm going to select this colour here on the far right hand side, and using our monoline brush, we want to just reduce the brush size down to maybe say 5%. That looks pretty good. And then starting just slightly inside the nose, we're just going to create an arc, and then hold your pen down, and you want to sort of stretch it out to the right hand side a little bit more, and then from your start point just create a little mouth there like so, and then drag and drop your colour in, and that will give us a nice big space and a nice little cheeky expression. While we're here, let's go ahead and create a new layer above this layer. Let's tap on it and clipping mask it. Let's go to our colours and select the red in the fourth column, the bottom colour, and in that space we're just going to create a tongue. So we're just going to create an arc, hold your pen down to make sure it's nice and smooth, and then just link it up to the point where you can then drag and drop your colour into that space, and you've got your tongue in there now. The next part we need to add is the eyebrows, so we're going to create a new layer. We're going to go to our colours, and we're going to select this colour here, so the sixth column along, only colour in it. We're going to go up to our brush library, and I'm going to use the brush pen for this one. Now my brush size is set to 15%, and then go back to your layer, tap on that layer and drawing assist it. And then we're going to start very lightly and just create sort of a little peak in the eyebrows there. That's all we want to create, just a nice little shape. So nice and light out here, heavier towards the point, and then end on a nice strong point there. And then the final shape we need to add in is the antlers. So let's go ahead and create a new layer. So we're going to create a new layer, and drag that all the way to the very bottom. We're going to tap on that layer and we're going to drawing assist it. We're going to go up to our colours. We're going to select this yellow here, so the fifth column along top row. We're going to go to our brush library and switch it back to the monoline brush. You want to max out your monoline brush, and you want to start roughly say here, and you want to create like a S shape. I'm going to start here, I'm going to go all the way up. We're going to create a nice smooth point by going back on ourselves, and then follow your line all the way back down, filling in the top there, so you end up with the end of your antlers. And then reduce your brush size down to about say 50%, and then we're going to just create our second little bit of the antler here, and you want to kind of create like a line here in a straight line, so my next antler should only go up to about there really. So I'm going to undo that, and then I've got my final bit of my antlers ready to go. So that's actually all the shapes that we're going to need. We can now get into the highlights. Now what we need to imagine is there is a light box roughly here, just above our reindeer. So the light is somewhat face on, but it's also downwards as well. So the front part of the face is quite lit, but it's kind of high above them. So we just need to bear that in mind. It's not coming from behind them in any way. So taking a look at what we've got, we're going to go ahead and go to our layers, and let's start off on the head first. We don't want to start anywhere else. We can get the basis for what we're going to do. So it's up to you. You can tap on the layer, you can alpha lock it and paint within it. If your iPad allows extra layers, I'm going to do it on an extra layer just in case I want to change anything later on. So I'm going to undo that alpha lock. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to tap on it, and I'm going to clipping mask it. And then I'm going to go to my colors, and I'm going to use, this is the base tone that we've already used. I'm going to move straight over to this color here, which is the seventh column along, this dark color. And then I'm going to go to my brush library, and the only thing we're going to use for all of this is the airbrushing and the soft brush. Now my brush size is set to about 25%. How big is that? It's far too big. Let's go a bit smaller than that. Let's go about 10. And we also want to go back to our layer. We want to tap on it and we want to make sure it's drawing assisted, because all the shadows will be exactly the same. We're going to come from up here. We're going to go all the way around and just do the bottom side of the head. So darkening up that section here and creating some rounded depth on the head there. We're going to reduce our brush size down to about 5%, and we're just going to add in a very top rounded shadow on the top of the head. So just creating that little bit around the top there. We're then going to go ahead and reduce our brush size down to about 4%, and we're going to do the socket. So everything just underneath the eyebrow and above the eye is going to be darkened up. So you can reduce your brush size even smaller than that if you want to, maybe about 3, and go all the way around the top of the eye into the nose bridge, like so. And then you can push that shadow even higher if you want to, and wider, slightly wider anyway. Just creating that dark socket up there. And the thing is with this, the lighter you are and the more smooth and faded you can make your shadows, the better. That's how this effect will look really soft, and it will look like a Memoji. We're then going to reduce our brush size down even more to about 2%, and we're going to do the underside of the nose. So we're just going to go underside here, darkening it up towards the center. But you can see I'm pressing very lightly, building up those shadows. I'm going to add a slight bit just above the top of the nose though, just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to take a look at the mouth, and I'm going to reduce my brush size to about 2%. And the light's coming down, so it would hit the bottom lip. So the top lip, we actually need to reduce the brush size all the way down to about 1%. And then we actually need to go back to the layer. We need to tap on the layer and turn off the drawing assist, because the mouth is slightly off to the side. And all we want to do is just darken up that top lip all the way along. Just darkening it up, being super light, but darkening it up so you can see that little shadow there. And that's already coming along very well. We can then go to our layer again, just tap on it and drawing assist it. Let's then switch it out to the darkest tone we've got, which is this one here, the 8th column along. And then we're going to sort of go over our shadowed areas a bit more and darken them up. So I'm going to go for something about 8%. That looks pretty good. I'm going to darken up right around this right hand side. See, I'm starting outside the body of the head and then just making my way inside there, smoothly blending this colour in like so. Going all the way around the top. Let's then darken up the sockets again, so reduce that down to about 3%. Just do the right around the eye, darkening that up. And what we also need to do is bear in mind the lighting under the eyebrow, so I'm going to reduce my brush size to about 2%, looks pretty good. And just going to darken the underside of that eyebrow, just a tiny bit. And again, the lighter and more feathering you can do to your shadows, the better. Let's then take a look at the nose again. Let's just darken that up on the underside of the nose, creating that real strong shadow there. And that's the shadows done. Let's go ahead and add the highlights. So let's go to our colors. We're going to use this color here at the top of our palette, so 4th column along the top color. And we're going to add in our highlights. So we're going to increase our brush size to about 5%. And mainly we've got the forehead to be working on, and then little bits of highlight accents everywhere else. So in a circular motion, I'm pressing super lightly. I want to really brighten up the top of that forehead there and just push it down a tiny bit on either side. And then even reduce your brush size down and just push it down the bridge of the nose. Again, I'm pressing so lightly, so I'm in full control of everything. That already adds in a nice little highlight up there. What you also want to do is just push it closer to your shadow that you created on the very top edge there. And then the underside of the eyes we need to work on, so let's reduce that brush size down to about 2%. And then the underside of the eye, we're just going to create a nice little highlight there, something like that. It's already starting to have that cartoony effect come to life. Let's then do the top of the nose as well, so we're just going to add in a nice very light highlight on the top of the nose. And then the mouth, we need to reduce the brush size down to about 1%. We need to go back to our layer. We need to tap on the drawing assist and turn it off. And then we just want to add in a little highlight on the underside of the mouth, going all the way around like so, until you add that nice little highlight on the bottom edge of the mouth. And then what we also want to do is add a reverb highlight. So we're going to go ahead and make our brush size about 5%. And then we're going to take a look at our layer. We're going to tap on that layer and we're going to drawing assist it again. and then we're going to add in a reverb highlight. So it's going to go from here, it's going to go all the way around and just do the underside of the head. And the lighter you are with that, the better. And that will just give a more rounded, cartoony effect to your design. And you can see you can go even brighter if you go right to the very edge. It just softens that shadow up quite a bit. We're then going to go ahead and change out our color to white. So we're going to go ahead and double tap in the top left to change it to white. Reduce your brush, actually let's keep it about 5%. And then we're just going to add in a really soft highlight at the top here. And then that will just brighten up the forehead a little bit more and just add in that brighter area where that soft light source is at the top. So that's already one piece coming together quite nicely. Let's take a look at our layers, and I'm now going to go ahead and work on the ears while we're working with that sort of color palette. So we've got the ears here on the layers. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to tap on it and clipping mask it. I'm going to tap on that layer and drawing assist it. And then let's go to our colors. Let's grab the dark color here in the 7th column along. I'm going to reduce the brush size down to about 3%. And then inside the ear, we want to go ahead and we're going to darken up the underside here, because this is essentially the outside and then that's the inside of the ear. So we're going to darken up around here and then also darken up around the bottom edge of the ear, going all the way around. And then I'm also going all the way around the very top edge just to add in a top shadow, just like we did on the head. And we're going to do that on the inside of the ear as well. And then just where the head starts to connect, we're going to switch our color out to the darkest color here, the 8th column along, this one here. And we're just going to darken that up behind the head there in a circular motion, just pushing that out. Likewise here too, just circular motions pushing that shadow out. And you can even just put a little bit of it around the bottom if you like, or even in here as well. We're then going to go ahead and grab our colors. I'm going to grab this light color here, the 4th color along on the top row. And on the same layer, we're just going to reduce our brush size to about 2%, and we're just going to add in a very soft, nice, colourful highlight on this top edge here. That's all we're going to do, and we can change out our colour to white if we really want to, and then reduce our brush size down to 1%. Just add in a very, very soft highlight in that space. Just accent in the top there of the ears. Then we're going to work on the inside of the ear, so let's go to our layers. We're going to see the inside layer of the ear there. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to tap on that layer and I'm going to clipping mask it. I'm going to tap on that layer, I'm going to drawing assist it. I'm going to go to my colors. I'm going to go straight to the dark color here on the 8th column along. And then I'm going to make my brush size about 3%. I'm going to darken up from the ear and then mainly towards the top edge here. So just adding that colour in and leaving a little bit of light colour here towards the bottom, really darkening it up here, just fading that out till you leave a little bit of that light colour there. And if you want to, you can adjust that. I'm pretty happy with how that just planned out, so I'm going to leave that as is. I'm now going to go ahead and take a look at my layers and see what's next. It's actually the eyes. So the eyes is a fun one to work on. Now this may take a couple of attempts, but once you nail it, it does look the best out of all these effects. So we're going to create a new layer above the pupils, and then we're going to tap on that layer and clipping mask it so it's clipped to the original layer at the very bottom there. Then we're going to go ahead and tap on that layer and drawing assist it, because I want my highlights to be exactly the same. I'm going to go to my colors. I'm going to go ahead and double tap to select white, and we're going to go ahead and add some highlights in. So my brush size is set to about 4%, and then up here I'm just going to create a soft curve, very, very soft, and then bring that down like so. I'm then going to reduce my brush size down to about 2%, and then I'm going to start to accent here more than anything in a circular motion, adding in a much brighter highlight just on the top of the eye there. Just brightening that up until practically it's white right in the center there. Something like that looks pretty good. And then at the bottom of the eye, we're going to reduce the brush size down to about 2% and just add in a very soft curve at the bottom here. Very, very soft and very light so that we don't end up punching it out too much. Something like that looks pretty good. We're then going to go ahead and on the same layer, we're going to change our color out and we're going to double tap to select black. We're then going to increase our brush size back up to about 4 or 5% and then darken up the sides more than anything. The top is okay-ish, we'll add a little bit up there. We want to create that spherical look now. So we're going to sort of darken up around here, creating a nice curve with your hand there, like a nice rotation. We're going to rotate around here on the inside of the eye as well. You can see I'm going sort of all the way up towards the top, but just darkening that up a little bit. And then that has already brought the eyes of our little reindeer to life. You can really sort of see how that's coming along. And to be honest with you, you can go pretty dark with these. You can go quite dark around the top if you want to. Create that nice dark shadow from the top. And then if you need to at any point, because you've been going over your highlights, you can always switch it out back to white by double tapping at the top in your colours. And then if you want to, you could reduce your brush size back down and just re-accent some of those things. I may reduce my brush size right down to about 1% here and just really add in a nice highlight at the bottom of the eye. This highlight here for me makes the whole eye come to life a bit more than this one here, because it just adds on top of the colour and just creates that extra little spherical 3D look. Now that's already coming along quite nicely, isn't it? Let's carry on and work on the next few items. Now you can go to your layers. You can then go ahead and take a look at what's next. We've got the nose, which is next. So we're going to tap on that layer. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to clip a layer to it. And we're also going to drawing assist that layer. I'm going to go back to my colours and select this dark red here at the bottom, the 5th colour along. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my brush size about 2%, I think. Maybe a bit bigger, maybe about 3. And then just going to darken up the bottom edge, like so. We are going to come around the top edge, just like we did with the head, create that sort of dark shadow towards the top area. And then as long as you've added in that amount of colour, so it's round here to roughly say here, and you've added in a tiny bit at the top, we're going to switch our colour out. We're going to go for the yellowy tone here at the top of the 4th column. And then again, we're just going to, I'm going to reduce my brush size actually. Again though, very lightly, just create that upper highlight on the nose. Nicely done, like so. And then we're going to add that reverb highlight underneath the nose as well. This one here as well, just really brings that nose to life. Like that, get that really cool 3D look. Then we're going to go up to our colours. I'm going to double tap to select white. I'm going to reduce the brush size down again. And then I'm going to add in a really soft circular highlight on top of the nose there, which will just add in that extra little light source coming from the top. Now we're going to take a look at our layers. What's next is the mouth. So the mouth itself, we are just going to tap on. I'm going to alpha lock it. It's only a small space. I'm going to alpha lock that layer. I'm going to actually switch my colour out to a dark brown, maybe something across here. So the, what's that, 7th brown along. Let's increase our brush size to about 3%. And just towards the outer areas, just add in a little bit of colour here and a little bit of colour here, so that the darkest part is the middle and the throat at the back there. So I'm very lightly just adding a little bit of brown in there. Then we're going to go to our layers. We're going to go to the tongue layer. I'm going to tap on that layer and alpha lock it. We're then going to go ahead and with our colours, we're going to grab the dark red, and that will be used just to darken up the top area of the tongue, as well as just a little bit around here. It's on the underside. It's where the lip sort of sits in front. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the yellow, the very light one that we've been using, the 4th colour along on the top row. Reducing my brush size to about 2%. Just going to add in a tiny little bit of colour just on that tongue. Very lightly. I end up with a nice soft looking tongue there. And let's move to our layers. Let's take a look. We're going to go to our layers, and then at the top we've only got the eyebrows. The eyebrows themselves are fine, I'm happy with those. The only thing left is the antlers, and they're right at the very bottom of our layers. We're going to create a new layer, and we're going to tap on that layer, and we're going to clipping mask it. We're then going to go ahead and grab the dark brown here. So let's go for this colour here. Let's go for the darkest one, so the 8th colour along. I'm going to increase my brush size to about 4 or 5%. Going back to my layer, I'm going to tap on that layer and make sure it's drawing assisted. And then we're going to darken up the underside of the antlers. So coming along here like so, just darkening that up, and circular motion just close to the head as well. And then you're going to want to go ahead and rotate. You're going to want to reduce your brush size down to about 2 or 3%. And you want to just darken up that top edge. So we're kind of doing the same little edge shadow that we did on the top of the head there. So going all the way around the top of our antlers. Coming around here, and then in there as well, going around the very top of the big one, and then a little bit in these gaps as well. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our colours. we're going to go to the light colour first of all, which is the 4th colour on the top row. We're going to go ahead and let's add that Reverb Highlight underneath while we've got small brush size. So we're going to go all the way around the bottom half there, adding in that soft colour. You can see how much I've added here on the end, and then just brighten that up underneath. We're then going to go ahead and brighten up the tip of the antlers. So let's reduce our brush size to about 2%, just up here, very lightly in circular motion. Brighten the tip of that one up. Likewise here too. And then you can, if you want to, just sort of curve that down into the antler main part, like so. And then again, circular motion, and then just bring that around like so. And then we can go all the way down there. And then I'm actually going to switch it out, and I'm going to double tap to select white from our colours. And then I just want to reduce my brush size down even smaller again to about 1%, and then just circular motion just on the tip of the antler there. Just add in a nice soft highlight, like so. Adding that in, and then I might increase my brush size to about 2%, and then just potentially just go over my highlights a little bit more, just to punch them out. Like so. And then the final little touch I want to add in is some facial features. So if we go to our layers and we've got the main head, we go ahead and we've got the shadow and highlights. Let's create a new layer. Let's tap on that layer and drawing assist it. Let's tap on that layer and clipping mask it. And then we can go to our colors. And I'm going to select this dark red here, the 5th color on the bottom row. Increasing my brush size to about 2 or 3%. I'm going to zoom in. We're going to slowly, just very lightly, create some nice rosy cheeks under here, like so. And then if we go up to our actions, let's turn off our drawing guide so we can get rid of the line in the middle. And if we pinch with 2 fingers and go full screen with 4, we end up with today's finished tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this design. If you did, drop a like down below, helps the channel out an awful lot. If you're new here, I post Procreate content every single week, so if you want some tutorials to follow along with, hit that subscribe button down below. And as always, a massive shout out to all my patrons. If you can't get enough Joel Create tutorials, there's a link down below to my Patreon where you can get access to even more tutorials every single month. And if you're interested in any of the equipment I'm using, the Sketchboard Pro and the Paperlike screen cover, there's links down below to all my equipment. And with all that said, I'll see you in the next one.